Do you want to know what ethical crystals are? Did you ever ask a crystal shop or a crystal wholesaler if the crystals they are offering are ethically mined and suddenly you didn't get an answer anymore? Or did they come up with a number of very strange, generalized answers that have nothing to do with the topic? We all live in capitalism, and there is nothing ethical in capitalism.
Oh my God!
Well, you see, first we have to look at home and talk about the Navajo Indians. Did they give you very strange sounding guarantees? Well, you see, I'm now into this business for about 20 years and I probably have more than 1,000 providers all around the world, and I would say they are all pretty damn nice and ethical people, yeah. Jesus! Well, I don't know if I'm the only one here, but if you are not happy with that kind of answers either, then this video will be for you, because I will be explaining very clear criteria to identify ethical and non-ethical mining in the crystal industry. But before we start that, I would be so glad and so happy for your support by posting all the nonsense arguments and all the false excuses that you have heard from other crystal shops and crystal wholesalers into the comments. I don't want to know the name of the companies. I just want to know what it is they told you, why we cannot have ethical crystals, what's the problem with identifying ethical crystals, and why it's even wrong to think about ethical crystals. Okay, so now let's start. There are some very easy criteria how you can identify non-ethical crystals, the ones that you should get your hands off. So the first criteria really is very easy and logic. If a crystal comes from an area that is a war zone or a conflict area, it's very unlikely to be ethical. Number two, also very easy, if you buy crystals that come from an area that is controlled by drug lords or by terrorist organizations, then it's very unlikely that they have been mined ethically. Number three is another no-brainer. Don't buy crystals from areas which are known for child labor in mining areas. And now it starts getting a little bit more difficult, because number four is don't buy crystals that come from illegal mining. Now, that is a little bit more harder to check on, because first we have to define and understand what is illegal mining, and then we have to find a way to find out if this material comes from illegal mining. So I'll make a video about this independently. A part of insisting on legal mining operations, number 5, is a criteria that says no to shadow business. Whenever you have shadow business involved, you have unethical labor conditions for the workers in that industry. So buying crystals from shadow business operations is not ethical. Number 6 is an additional indicator for being unethical, and that is if the crystals come from countries that have a very, very high level of corruption, because in that countries everything works. Okay, so after we got a number of very clear indicators for non-ethical mining, what is it that we should look for in an ethical crystal provider? So first of all, your crystal provider should be a legally established company. Means you should be able to find him in public registers of companies. He should have a tax number, should pay taxes. He should not engage in cash payment operations. Being part of a chamber of commerce in certain places is a good indicator too for legality. And believe me, most of these things are facts that you can actually check in the internet. Now there are a number of other indicators for an ethical provider. Your provider should have a clearly outlined environmental protection policy. Your provider should provide sustainable quality jobs. Your provider should have an internal company policy against discrimination and promote equality. And finally, the internal regulations and guidelines of the company should provide a healthy life for everyone. So how could you possibly find out about all this kind of things? Well, let's be very honest. I mean, the guys that are really into this and they're really doing it, they will talk about it. You will find it on their website, you will find it in their social networks, you will find it in the sales talks, and they will have no problem in giving you honest and transparent answers of what they do, what they still not be able to do, what they are planning to do. And if a provider doesn't give you any answer on any of those, or gives you these kind of general attitude arguments, then he is probably not very into ethical mining. So again, don't forget to leave me your comments with all the excuses and arguments against ethical crystal mining that you have heard from crystal shops. It would be a pleasure to talk about those. So this is the first video of a series of videos that I will make in order to go in depth into each of the topics that we just mentioned. So don't forget to follow the channel if you are interested in ethical mining and in sourcing of ethical crystals. So stay connected and let's start to change the tide.